already mentioned, today's session is going to be about design thinking, critical thinking, and innovation design. So let me introduce you very quickly certain basic concepts, frameworks, and models in these three areas because innovation incubation cell is organizing this session, and it's extremely important for today's participants to understand what are these concepts about. Design thinking is a human-centered approach to innovation, which is anchored in understanding the customer needs with the rapid prototyping and generating the creative ideas that will transform the way we develop products, our services, our processes, or our organizations. So when we say design thinking, as I have kept in bold highlighted lettering here, it is a human-centered approach. Whatever product, service, or process, or even the organizations existing to serve, they always have to have a human-centered approach, right? And for that, we need to keep on rapidly prototyping. If you are developing, innovating, or iterating, or remodeling, repurposing, recycling, whatever is the intention, we should not be stagnant. That is the intention of the word rapid prototyping. So it's always human centered with users first approach. Whoever is the end user, we need to keep them in the center of our thinking model. He is the pioneer, Tim Brown. I kept the screenshot here so that you can go back and see the video later. He is the pioneer of this design thinking. Harvard Business Review has an entire textbook written about his articles, his blogs, his concepts. So I recommend highly the participants to check it out. So what is design thinking? As we already discussed, thinking like a designer can transform the way we develop our products, services, processes, as well as the strategies. Historically, if you can see here, the gentleman here in the shaded line artwork is Herbert A. Simon, who in 1969, in his phenomenal book, The Sciences of Artificial, has coined the word design thinking. And in 21st century, when we are having a lot of these wicked problems, which are called ill-defined, unknown, uncertain solution problems, we need to have a human-centric approach to solve these problems. Otherwise, we are not going to arrive at any solutions. So this design thinking process timeline started from 1960s with attempts to understand what is this design thinking in a scientific manner. And over all this timeline mentioned milestones, today we are talking about design thinking in a very innovative way, and that is where innovation design will be the last element of today's talk. So when I introduce the word wicked problem, what is a wicked problem? They do not have a definitive formulation. There is no stopping rule. That means they don't have an inherent logic to explain why the problem is happening. The solutions are not either true or false binary, only either it is a good solution or a bad solution, and there is no way to test these solutions, okay, but they can only be tried through trial and error method, and every trial counts because with every trial we learn a lesson from it. And there is no end to the number of solutions because multiple attempts, multiple solutions, multiple trials will always give new insights, and all wicked problems are essentially unique, and they can always be described as a symptom of other problems. It's not that problem is arising or arriving on its own. It is a result of something else. And the wicked problem is described, the way it is described, the person who is describing it will also determine the solution. So in today's context, the planners, that is those who present these solutions to the problems, they should be always right. They have no right to be wrong. In the sense, like today, if you discuss what is a major wicked problem in today's context, it is nothing but global climate crisis. Now, let me introduce certain design thinking frameworks. These are the most popular frameworks in the entire literature. I have just chosen few to introduce you. This is the Herbert Simon 7-stage design process where you define a problem, research upon it, ideate, brainstorm, and then go ahead and develop a prototype. And from that, you choose what is the best, then go ahead again, implement and learn. So this is the 7-stage design process of Herbert Simon. Then there is this 4D framework of design thinking called discovering. That is, you gather, synthesize, talking with people, gathering insights and get an inspiration. Then you understand a problem may be there. Then you go ahead and define existing the opportunities, concepts, You refine, define, and you understand the problem. Then you go ahead and develop an experiment or a prototype or a solution for that particular defined problem. Then you go develop and deliver. This is the 4D framework of design thinking. Then the most famous Stanford School of Design, this is very popular, called D School model of design thinking. This is non-linear. It doesn't happen in the straight linear manner, but includes 5 components called empathize, define, ideate, prototype, then go and test it. This is the most popular D School model of design thinking. Then comes the IDEO, which is the 3-stage design thinking process, which consists of first you get inspired either with a problem, with an opportunity which strikes you, then you go ahead and ideate, then you go and implement. So this is the 3-stage IDEO design thinking model. After introducing you to these varieties of frameworks and a little bit of introduction to design thinking, how can one get started with design thinking? First, we need to start with an issue, because all the previous models which we have discussed start with an inspiration or defining or identification of a particular issue or an opportunity, right? So we start with that. Then we go ahead and think whether we should find a solution first or a problem first. This is always like a chicken or egg situation. But for designers, it's not always the solution, right? There should be an opportunity or a problem. There is no beauty in creating a solution first just because we have time, because we have resources, then going back and finding a right fit problem or an opportunity. So how to get started with design thinking? We always have to empathize with that human-centric approach. First, user. Who is the user? Who is the end user for this particular thing? Then we have to keep on expanding our thinking from their perspective, because ultimately, though we are designing, they are the one who are going to be using that, right? So we need to expand our thinking from their perspective. But sitting in our rooms, in our AC chambers, or in our experimental labs, thinking what is best for them is never going to work out. So we need to start thinking from that end of the point, then come and experiment in our lab, develop the prototype, then go back again and test with them, that is the end users. So these are the 5 stages of design thinking. Empathize with user research, who is the one using that. Define the problem statement and the personas. Who are the users? What are their personas? If both of us are going to use a toothpaste, your choice, your preference, and my choice and my preference is different. So both of our personas are different. I'm a 45-year-old married woman. You may be a 20-year-old a single guy. So both of our personas are different. Our income brackets are different. I may choose being a medical doctor. I may choose a Sensodyne kind of paste. Being a 20-year-old single person, you may choose a different kind of peppy flavored paste. So all these personas we have to think when we are defining our problem statements. Then we have to ideate, thinking out of the box, because innovation design thinking is not about routine solutions, right? It is about thinking outside the box. When we are thinking outside the box, it's always about brainstorming with multiple people, because it's always about getting creative ideas. So then we go ahead and prototype. Mostly it is inexpensive, scale it down approach. We don't pump a lot of investments or resources in this prototype building. This is not the entire project. So we will be doing a paper prototyping. Always my mentor says, beg, borrow, but never buy. Never buy anything in prototype building. Always beg or borrow from other people in building prototypes, but never buy anything on your own. And testing is go and do rigorous testing, redefine your problem statement, redefine your prototype iteration, and try to bring an alternative solution if this is not working. This is again from Pioneer of Design Thinking, Tim Brown's blog. So just for lack of time or appreciation of your thinking, you may stop and think this, if this is design thinking, how unique it is. So nowadays the problems, there are a lot of innovators. All of us want to be innovators. Who doesn't want to be called an innovator, right? So but all of us are trapped in a lot of silos and lot of stereotypes. So this design thinking clearly dispels those kinds of myths. Innovators are trapped in their own expertise and experience. Just now, Premlata madam has given a little bit of introduction about me, and she said like, I have done this, I have done that. So I have my own expertise and experience. So I'm already trapped in that image. But design thinking is what? It provides immersion in the user's experience. If I'm claiming to be an entrepreneur or innovator, it's not about me. It's about the design or product or service or a process or a strategy or my organization, which is existing for someone else. And what is that other person's immersion or experience we are trying to provide with innovation mindset? That is what is design thinking about. With this kind of mindset, what is the improved outcome? It leads to a better understanding of those people for whom we are existing, either as a product or a service. That is all about design thinking. For one more example, innovators are divided by difference in team members' perspectives, because innovation, again, I already told you, brainstorming, bring more people, think creative, brainstorm, and all this. So it's not a single person's journey. In that process, when you have multiple people, there may be disagreements in the creative process. But design thinking again builds alignment as these insights are translated into criteria, moving the innovation team towards what? Conversions around what really matters to the users. It's not about ego of CEO or co-founder or CTO or someone else. It is about what ultimately matters to the users. In this way, I think you got the point. Design thinking is all about innovators, when they are lacking a shared understanding of new ideas, are often unable to get feedback from users. Again, design thinking will offer experiences of the users, because you are going to them, asking them what matters to you, what helps you, what is your pain point, how can we design a product which will improve that. So this is again giving the accurate feedback at low cost and understanding the potential solution. So I think by now you understood what design thinking is all about. Empathize with a human-centric approach, keeping the end user as the interface of your entire design effort and thinking process. Now let me introduce to one more legend, Clay Christensen. I hope some of you may have heard about him if you are already in this innovation thing. He was a previous Harvard Business School professor, also called as the legend in disruptive innovation expert. He always talks to us about the role of entrepreneurship, innovation, or design thinking is about understanding what is the job to be done by us. When we claim we are existing as an organization in the entrepreneurial world, what is the job we are claiming to be done? We need to understand that clearly. And once we get that clarity and define that through our design thinking principles, we will be there. So let me give you some examples. How many of you know about this Airbnb? I think some of the faculty members at least may have heard about Airbnb. It is about a travel agency. Suppose, for example, when we traveled to Kashmir sometime in the past, we didn't want to stay in hotels. Rather, we want to get the Kashmiri local experience. So Airbnb is a platform where we can go and choose residential properties in a locality as a travelers and stay in that houses, in that residential properties as tourists, and pay for that rather than stay in the hotels. This is that kind of platform. It is a hugely successful case study model. So what do they do in Airbnb in design thinking? They keep people, places, and the love of that particular local people towards the tourists, and that is their entire model. In this kind of model, when Airbnb has any problem, they send their own staff to that particular troubleshooting area, and the employees of Airbnb will actually understand what is the real problem in that particular area, and they come back and try to build a solution around it. So in that way, Airbnb has design thinking inbuilt in their design processes, and this is one such example. You can go and check out this page. Belong Anywhere is one such example of Airbnb. Now, because I'm a doctor, I would definitely give you some examples, especially in Tamil Nadu. Some of you may be knowing about Arvind Eye Care System, Arvind Eye Hospitals. It is a hugely successful global phenomena for design thinking again. Initially, when Dr. Arvind Venkateswamy started, he only had 11 beds in his clinic. but now they serve thousands and thousands of people with telemedicine and other hi-fi facilities because they actually wanted to understand how to deliver eye healthcare system or eye healthcare services to rural and remote people in India. And this case study helps us to understand how to empathize with this problem, understand the poverty issues, transport issues, all these issues, and they built a system around it so that they can deliver this eye care services. This is one more example. So with that, I will quickly summarize my session on design thinking. I did present to you how a human-centric, first keeping the user in the center approach is the critical point of design thinking. And I have given you a lot of examples, frameworks, how this can be approached. And we also have seen 2 case studies of Airbnb and Arvind Eye Care. Now let us quickly go into this critical thinking. During the process of registering this workshop, we have sent out a Google Form survey, and I have seen the latest 55 students or participants have responded from Tamil Nadu and Coimbatore, as well as Kurnool and Andhra Pradesh. And I'm very happy to see that response. And almost, I think 85 to 95% of them did agree that critical thinking is one of the essential skill or goal for education. I totally agree that it should be the way. So what is the critical thinking? It is a method of analyzing ideas, concepts, or data which is collected to evaluate a situation from different perspectives to build a clear understanding and arrive at an unbiased optimal solution. This facilitates objective perception of different design projects, because today we are talking about design thinking. We have to understand in the design aspects, especially how critical thinking is important, because earlier we already thought that when there is a team, all of us will bring our subjective, emotional, and lived experiences to that table, and we will be carried away by our emotions. We feel like my design is so good, my thinking is so good, my logic is so good. It is not about me or mine. It should be so objective, critical, logic based on the data in analytical manner that will help in the designing of the project, because it's always about the end user. It is not about us. This is the concept of critical thinking when it is applied to in the aspect of design thinking. To understand in depth what are the elements of critical thinking means, when someone says this candidate has that critical thinking ability, what is that individual actually possessing? We need to understand that. They are able to ask questions. That means open-ended questions. And that question is not like, do you know this? Yes or no. That is a closed-end question. That is not the kind of question we are expecting our students to ask or develop. They should be able to ask open-ended questions, and that question should lead to outcomes. It leads to more concrete evidence development or generation of insights. And the students or candidates should also be reflective and have a structural process in arriving at this, so that ultimately in the design process, we are going to identify a problem, refine, define, redefine again. So this process should always be asking about questions, and sometimes asking about the right questions, right? So this is very, very important when it comes to design thinking, because in a certain process, there is a very critical word we learn in our entrepreneur journey called pivot. Because we start the journey, go some way, then we realize this is not the right solution, or this is not the right problem we started with. At that point, because of this critical thinking lens we apply, because of the skill we have learned, we should stop there. We cannot invest any more resources. Life is very finite. We have to stop there, take a turn or U-turn sometimes, find another good opportunity or solution to work. That is why asking questions which are outcome based, reflective, so that we detect the problems is very important. After that, we need to gather all the relevant information and forego cognitive and confirmation bias. This is very common in, especially among our educated community, because we are so educated with PhDs, postdocs, double fellowships like me. We want to confirm what we know already. So we'll look for that evidence, bring more evidence in that area and say, see, I already told you, I'm presenting you with all this data. That kind of confirmation bias and cognitive bias, we should be conscious and do away with. When we are gathering information in one area, we should look what is the other side of the story. That is the information we have to gather to balance both viewpoints. Then we have to think through the solutions, conclusions analytically, consider alternative systems creatively, then effectively communicate to the team so that they will be able to understand whether the end users are able to perceive these benefits. Is it useful to them? Then you go to the end users and communicate, hey, this is what we are developing. Do you think it is going to be useful to you? They say, absolutely no, this is not what we want. Then we have to come back and rework on this. Once I said that that is how we have to start critically thinking, these are the skills ultimately we will develop when we start practicing those kind of asking questions, being reflective, gathering information and all. Ultimately, we will end up with this skill set of helping with reasoning, problem solving, evaluating the information objectively, analyzing the information objectively with evidence, not our emotions, and finally arriving at decision making. I will tell you, in our recent memory, there was so much of vaccine hesitancy when COVID vaccines have come up because they came up in such a rush hush manner, right? So a lot of people had their own issues with that, but majority of the world is saved because of vaccines. There is no two doubts about it. But the other side of the story also, there is so many unknown health data which is now coming up. So this is how we have to look at the data both objectively rather than bringing our emotions into the picture. So now let us keep both the thinking, design thinking, critical thinking. Why did today's organizers club all these topics together? Is there any link between these two? Are they identical? Can we use interchangeably? Instead of saying design thinking, can I answer in my Viva critical thinking? No. Both are different, but both of them share some similar frameworks of thinking across certain areas. Because by blending design thinking and critical thinking, we foster innovation because innovation becomes amplified, which can deliver customer-centric solutions. That is where today's when Dean Madam asked me, "This is the title of your talk," I felt like really thrilled because people always take design thinking alone as a course for 1 year, 2 years. But today's session is more like a flash course for you, where you want to understand why design thinking and critical thinking can go together, because that is a one different process. This is one different process, but there are some areas which are overreaching or overarching, and both the areas will help us to assess if our hypothesis, if our product, if our theory is going to accurately picture the user's experience or not. For that, we have to critically think. For that, we have to apply the design thinking principles, which is human centric, keeping the user in the center and always user first approach. That is why critical thinking helps, because you're not bringing your emotions there. Again, I'll remind us about Tim Brown. Leaders now in 22nd century are looking to innovation because it is a principal source of differentiation and competitive advantage, because all of us are getting the same MBBS degree, MD degree, or PhD degree. How are we different? When we appear in front of different interview panels, they will say, what is your USP? What is your unique value? Why should I give you the job? Then we need to understand, how are we different? What is our differentiator? So in that sense, in today's world, every leader is looking to innovation as a principal source of differentiation and competitive advantage, and they would do well. Who would do well? Leaders would do well to incorporate design thinking into all phases of the process. Take, for example, NIT, or even Dean Madam is here today, or a department HOD is there. Why do they have to take these kind of sessions or skill building sessions for students? Because once students understand the importance of design thinking, critical thinking, innovation design, it's not just for completion of class or for getting some credit scores or something, but you can apply it into your own life. Because in every walk of life, at the end of the day, we want to go to bed and get good quality of sleep. 16 hours a day we are working. Where are those hours spent? Are those hours well spent? Are we trying to make this world better? Are we contributing meaningfully through our education, to our family, to our community, to this world? If we start thinking in that way, all this design thing, because we empathize with ourselves first, because self-care, then towards our family, to the community. So in that way, every principle today you're talking, design thinking and critical thinking logically, not trying to hurt people, but only trying to go through logical processes. It will help us to understand where is the evidence, and we can take all this design thinking into every phase of the process of life. So now let me come to innovation design, because we have addressed what is design thinking and critical thinking. Let us quickly understand what is innovation. Because when we asked in the Google survey, is innovation about putting a business of invention into a marketplace and making it a success, almost 85% agreed. So 15% still believe like this looks like a fancy definition, but still it is a good definition of innovation. But if I ask you, every day morning you're getting up and taking milk tea, but tomorrow you may think like, I want to be health conscious. Instead of milk tea, I want to have only green tea, right? Or instead of milk coffee, I want to have only black coffee. That is innovation, right? Instead of getting up straight from bed and going to bath, from bed to bath, you want to take a 10-minute meditation break or deep breathing break or nature walk. That is again innovation. So innovation in a simple sense means any deviation for improvement. For any deviation for improvement or well-being, positive improvement, positive habit formation or well-being is called innovation. But when you actually translate that into a business model, profit-driven intention, that is a marketplace innovation. Otherwise, innovation is just like green tea. Routinely, whatever you are doing, instead of that, you do something different and gain. That gain could be personal well-being, or in the marketplace sense, it could be profit-driven. So in that sense, innovation is a business of putting an invention. It could be an innovative product. You could tweak an existing product and bring it to the marketplace and make it a success. Then Dieter Rams says, what is a good design? You make a product which is useful, understandable, innovative, aesthetic, unobtrusive. That means it should not be too complicated, honest, long lasting, environmental friendly, and involves as minimum design as possible. These features are most of these features, if present, that product is qualified to be called having a good design. If you fuse these two elements of innovation into design, the innovation design's key elements include collaboration, ideation, implementation, and finally value creation. So I may have a beautiful idea. I want this like that. I want like that, but I may not be able to do it. So I need to bring collaborations. That is where collaboration comes as the first part. Then ideation. I may start with, I want it in blue, but my collaborators say, no, blue does not look well with that idea. Let us tone it down to teal or some other color. That is where we have to have ideation. Keep on ideating so that better and better ideas come out. Then we have to implement, then take it to the customer. Maybe it may become a failure there. Then we'll come back and rework on it. Then ultimately, what is the value creation? Uh, all of us love the example of Steve Jobs. He was a failure in first, second cases. Ultimately, iPhone, he was a huge success. So the value creation, people always remember the success stories, but the journey is painful, riddled with failures. But ultimately, the value creation in today's context is in different dimension, not just dollars. It has much more value, which is a different topic. So simplified linear process of innovation is you do basic research and discover what is existing and what is not existing. Then you do some applied research and you invent a technology and demonstrate whether the technology is feasible or not. Then you go ahead and develop a product, either in the prototype development, in the pre-competitive, means you are not entering market area, but you develop your product, go to customers, get their feedback and make it fine-tuned. Then you go into the competitive world and innovate and develop into a full product. This is the linear process of innovation. But according to the design science in today's technology world, because today and future is all about technology, right? We are heavily into technology, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, big data, machine learning, whatnot. So in that sense, there is this S-shaped evolution of technology. So, right, in this intersection of the middle is the technology limit. After that, we have to push the technology. After that, there may be some resistance, because even now, if you talk about artificial intelligence, especially in medical or healthcare industry, there is not such a wide acceptance among doctors, right? Though you see very good picture, there is not wider acceptance. So there is some push. The government is giving a lot of push, introducing a lot of schemes and a lot of projects, a lot of innovations. That is how we need to give some technology push till such acceptance becomes universal. Then, without going into the depth of this table, the supply and demand sides of innovation, it is not always same. There will be a fluid phase, transition phase, and specific phase. In every phase of this supply and demand sides of the innovation process, we need to give pushes, nudges, incentives, then only it will take off. And at every stage of these three cycles, we have scope for innovation. Now, I'll give you very few routine examples, not very heavy examples. You just look at this Amul example. We all remember how Amul butter used to be heavily packed. In this example, you can see a 100-gram carton is priced 54, a 500-gram carton is priced 255, and the small sachets are 63. With this design, innovation design is catering to the customer. Who is this customer? 100-gram could be a family of 4. It will be in their refrigerator. 500-gram may be a joint family. And what about this? This could be a hostelers or a dorm or something, or even a canteen or something. So ultimately, you can see 3 customers or 3 personas using this product. So an Amul innovation design is all about who are all the users who can think of using Amul. Literally, you have to list out every one individual end user. For them, you have to make a very cute design, and everywhere the same polka dotted Amul baby is there. Universal, same branding, but with small packages or unique packages for end customer. That is one beautiful example for you to remember from tomorrow's class. Innovation design is catering innovatively with the design aesthetics. Aesthetics is very important to end user. This is one more example all of us know in Tamil Nadu. I don't know whether you get it in Andhra Pradesh, but this ID brand of idli and dosa batters. We have been seeing a variety of evolution of this packaging over the years. When it came first, it was a very simple package. Now it's a huge brand. We see all these things when we go to book festivals. They give this kind of filter coffee, carry sachets. So this is how, again, they evolve. Once the brand keeps evolving, their design, their thinking, their brand value, their brand presentation, their marketing, their reach, their customer, everything changes. So accordingly, you'll cater every need of your customer, adding with all this variety of packages. All these designs are patented. So this is again innovation design. So you will understand design thinking is different, design is different, but the principles are same. Empathize. Who is your end user? Human centric. What matters to them? That homemade amma dosa, amma vada, or whatever. That feel should come when you go home and open this and immediately have idli and dosa. So that is the entire presentation. And now coming to Kairos Kinetic, we are almost 1.5 year old biotech startup. As Premlata madam has introduced me, I am a doctor. I used to do a lot of research on tobacco use disorders and tobacco harm reduction, especially among bottom of the pyramid population like migrants, women, LGBTQ population. So that is where we originated with this origin story of Kairos Kinetic. And currently we are also working on 2 projects. The first one is Nanoral Kit. As you can see here, this is a grant from Government of India for startup grant, where we are developing a salivary biomarker-based approach to detect oral cancer in early stages, because currently oral cancer is being diagnosed in stage 3 and 4, which is killing 60 to 80% of oral cancer patients. That's why we are trying to do this in one approach. The other approach is this post imager. We are trying to develop a probe which acts like a toothbrush kind of probe, with at the end of which you have LED lights and a camera, which you can focus into the mouth of the patients. And if there is a cancer tissue, early cancer lesions, we can pick up that early cancer lesions, and compared to the normal tissue in the mouth, we can read the differences. based on the hemoglobin differences and thereby identify the people in the early stages. So these are the two current projects which we are right now in the early prototype development stage. These are our attempts as healthcare providers to address the problem which we have seen from a very close encounters for the past 6 to 7 years based on my research with migrants and other people madam has read out in my bio. So these are the two projects which we are now working with triple ITDM Leap Lab as well as other collaborators in our Chennai city. So, and with that, I would like all of us to remind the way to get started with anything is to quit talking and begin doing. I have given a little bit of introduction to these three concepts today, design thinking, critical thinking, as well as innovation design. And definitely I'll have some time to questions. And we are solving the toughest problems in oral cancer because, as I said, though it is clearly visible in the mouth, most of the doctors are missing it out. And that's the reason we are not able to detect them early. So thank you so much. And you can all reach us out at Kairos Kinetic in LinkedIn as well as our website. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to take.
Audience, I request audience to please unmute yourself and kindly please take the guidance of ma'am for any sort of queries. Ma'am is here with a lot of experience. I think ma'am is first-hand information generator for us to have a startup or to learn a new thing. In fact, she has a lot of experience.
Madam, I don't have a question.
Yes.
But in future, I would like to collaborate with you. Means the Department of Biotechnology from NIT Andhra Pradesh. We would like to collaborate with you in terms of any collaborative project. Which
Definitely.
was because I'm into the drug delivery, so I work into this drug delivery system. So I think your approaches, which you have lastly quoted about the kit, and so that is similar to the drug delivery thing aspects also. So this
Definitely.
would be so. I think we can work out with some collaborative projects so that the outcome would be a better prototype of the product so that it gets a societal benefit. So that
Definitely.
is what I intend, madam. So it was really very interesting because we thought we were because even though you are a biotech, you are a CEO of a biotech startup, but you were still addressing everything in a very generalized manner, so that all the branches of study people would understand like what is what. We also had some glimpses about what is the critical thinking and innovation design aspects also, and it was a wonderful lecture. And really, once again, my very serious apologies to you, madam, because
It
we had
always
some
happens. It's
network
only
issues.
that we miss some time. Otherwise, we could have in-depth discussion in that frameworks and other things. But it's okay. It always happens, madam, in spite of our best efforts. That is what technology is like a double-edged sword. We
And you
always
have been so much, you had so much of patience to wait for us, and thank you very much for your
I
uh,
totally understand.
patience.
And it was not within our control sometimes.
Oh, okay, madam. It's over to Prem Lata to give the vote of thanks.
Uh, Dr. Sricharita ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, really, your presentation was crisp and clear. In fact, it has given a lot of insights, basically, like why we never thought in this perspective. So the insights were very fine and it was very reachable to us. Thank you very much for that. So I'll go ahead with the formal vote of thanks. I, Dr. Premalata, on behalf of IIC, Institute Innovation Council, as a member, convey my deep regards and hearty thanks to our Honorable Director, Professor Pramod Padwale. I'm also thankful to our Registered Dr. P. Dinesh Shankar Reddy. And I'm also thankful to our Dean RNC, Ravikiran Shastri sir, and our IAC President, Dr. V. Sudarshana Dipa, and Vice President, Dr. P. Shankar. And my sincere thanks to Dr. Sri Sucharita ma'am. Ma'am, I'm extremely sorry. The technical mistake happened from my end. I was being held up in other work. So I'm very thankful to you for your kind patience. Uh, to speak about to speak or to convey my really heartfelt thanks to you, my 100% thanks to you, or else I have a small quote for you to express the value of time for you. If time is money, then today you have spent millions for us. Thank you for making this event really, really so engaging and inspiring too. And
Thank
my sincere thanks to Dr. Sharad Dwivedi for his help and support at various stages. I would also thank our IAC President Dr. V. Sudarshana Dipa for constant help and guidance that radiated a source of energy within us. I am thankful to our dear participants. It was because of you the event went so well with good amount of participation. Thank you all. Deepa ma'am?
Thank you very much, madam.
Yes.
Yes, I hope we will have another session of yours physically in future. Definitely, madam.
Sure,
I
madam.
will. We will plan about it. And thanks for your session. You can leave now, madam. Thank you very
Yes.
much.
Thank you all. Have a great evening.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.